everyone, this is Taryn with Wonderfully Made Handcrafting, and today I'm doing a little different kind of video for you. I actually visited the Sam Flax art store in Atlanta with my family the other day, and I wanted to take you along for the ride. Now this was definitely a unique and professional art store. It wasn't your Michaels or Joann Fabrics. So there was a lot of different things here and a couple of books that we decided to skip over quickly. But all in all, this had so many cool stuff in this store and it was definitely worth checking out. Now this art store was primarily broken up into different rooms, and I would say the first room we entered was mostly like a gift giving room. If you had a friend who loved art, you could definitely find something in this room to give them. They had these awesome fun bags and they also had these posters here. We actually have a couple of these in my house and I love them. If you were into journals, they had multiple different brands there and also any color that you could possibly imagine. As we walked into the next room, this was their paper room. They had so many different paper options, different textures and colors and prints. This was a room that I could have stayed in forever. But they had different envelopes that you could offer for wedding invitations. They also offered some calligraphy services. So this room, if you love paper, this would be your dream. Now the staff working there were also very knowledgeable about their paper. I heard them help a bunch of different customers. I loved this envelope, so I wanted to take a little video of it, and I ended up picking up some paper to match. Now they also had some different foiled options of paper. I did pick up this one. It is a little thicker of a cardstock, and so I thought it would do great in some embossing folders I have. This was another option for an envelope, and as we turned to this wall, they had every color you could possibly imagine. Now, I'm not exactly sure on their prices of invitations, but if you're looking to get any invitation done, especially wedding invitations, this was a store to check out. They also had handmade papers. I decided to wait until next time for these, but these were wonderfully textured and I just love them so much. But my kids loved the kids section the best and were begging us to grab a bunch of the different art supplies there. I do have to say my favorite room there was this specialty paper room. Now, a lot of these papers were fairly expensive. A lot of them were like $13 a sheet, but they were definitely specialty designer papers. And I ended up picking up a couple. I decided to pick up some of the cheaper options this time around to see how I would use them in Bible journaling. But they had so many different options, guys. If you love specialty paper or handmade papers, these have some wonderful colors and wonderful textures to them. If you're into origami or any book binding, they also had some great options in this room, as well as this wood paper that I thought was such a cool texture. The next room I moved into was the largest of the rooms, and I guess the main back room, where they had all these different paint pens, different style paints, and also all your drawing essentials. As we moved into this small hallway, they had drawers of different kinds of paper. Now, these were very large pieces of paper for the most part. They weren't like those small pieces that you get in pads of paper in the aisles of normal stores. These were massive. And so they had tracing papers, different kinds of vellum, especially for architects and stuff. And they also had so many different watercolor papers, and something that I never heard before was Durlar. Now, this drawer gave me a little bit of a hard time, and then I finally got it opened and there was nothing in it. But Durlar, I will show you in the end because I ended up picking some up, and you'll definitely want to stay and listen about that stuff. But so many different options for paper, and they were really great prices, guys. So much better than I anticipated. They also had this painting here, not necessarily my style, but I really loved the colors in it. As we move on to the drawing section, they had a bunch of different charcoal pencils, and they also had so many different watercolor pencils and color pencils that you could buy just one a piece. If you didn't find the paper you were looking for in those drawers, you definitely were able to find it here. They had rows and rows of different kinds of paper, so any kind you could definitely find here. They also had multiple options for paintbrushes and different kinds of paints. Now, I was really trying to find some Daniel Smith watercolors in the wild because I love using them when Lori gives them to us in her By the Well for God kits, but I didn't find them here. They did have some really cool art pieces like these origami cranes, and what my kids loved is they had a little clay area for kids or adults to create their own kind of creature and leave it there with this little monster man. So my family and I had a wonderful time at the Sam Flax store, and I even ended up picking up a few things. So I'm going to show you down below what I ended up getting to try. Okay guys, so these are huge pieces of paper, so I can only show you a portion, but I picked up this one. This one was called Buttercup, and it's a 20 by 30 piece of specialty decorative paper, and I just love all the texture that it gives. Like, you see little leaves or pieces of plants in it, and it was $3.50. It was one of the cheaper ones, and I just love the color, the mustardy yellow color that it has. The second one I ended up getting was made from tamarind leaves and plants, and I love this one. Look at all the texture. I'm going to kind of zoom you in a little bit so you can see. I think this one will work so great with some vintage and antique papers, and it's going to be awesome. I'm going to end up tearing little pieces of it. This is even larger. Let me see if it has a size. This one doesn't have the size, but it was $4. It is a little thinner of a paper than the yellow one, but I cannot wait to use this. Okay, so the next thing I picked up was these 2 sheets of Durlar. I don't know if you've heard of this before, but it is an acetate alternative. And what's cool about it is that it is heat resistant, and so you can actually emboss. Sorry, this keeps attaching. You can actually emboss with it, and it is archival. So this, I think, was a great find. I can't wait to work with it. It also takes paint very well. Acrylic, it does wonderfully. They also have a matte version that takes watercolor great. They do have some tips and tricks on using the clear one with watercolor, but I cannot wait to try this out, especially with some alcohol inks. And this is the 5 milliliter thickness one that I picked up. But I am excited to find this. This was really cheap. It's a big piece. Let me see. It is 20 by 25 inches. And it was, I think, like $1.80 or something like that. It was really cheap. And so I'm finding it to be a great alternative, at least so far. And I can't wait to try it. Okay guys, here are the last couple things I decided to pick up. So we'll start with this. This was, I know, originally from Michael's, but it wasn't a dollar bin there. I know at Michael's they sell for much more. And so I figured I would pick this up from the clearance bin. I also grabbed some cording. I love adding texture to my pages. And so I picked up a yellow, I think it's a faux leather, a brown, and a burgundy. So I think those will be great, especially as we come closer to fall. I wanted to pick up a China marker somewhere. This has been on my list of things to grab. I really wanted to add some shading to some of my ephemera pieces and some outlines around different pieces. And so I thought this was a great deal, but I couldn't find a white China marker. So I ended up picking up this charcoal white pencil. I figured I would try it out and see how it works. I also couldn't stand not picking up some papers just to try out. So I got some of the smaller sizes and I picked up this wood grain one. It kind of reminds me of the Tim Holtz one. It's probably, I think it's probably a little less embossed than the Tim Holtz one, but it is a nice embossing look to it. So I picked up this one. I also picked up this hammered look. Now I showed you they had envelopes in this as well. I was loving this one, so I can't wait to see what I can do with it, and maybe I'll end up picking up some more in the future. It's also black on the back side. It is definitely a thick cardstock. Another one I picked up was this metallic copper. I thought this would work great with some of the embossing folders I have. I love the alpha one I have from Tim Holtz, and so I thought this might be a little better than the Sizzix like sticky sticker paper that I have that's metallic. I think this is a little thicker, so it might work a little better. And last one I got, I just thought was so pretty. It is like this iridescent gray and white floral, so I couldn't resist picking this one up as well. So all in all, I think the Sam Flax store was a really unique and fun store to visit. I did want to let you know that they do offer discounts for teachers and military and students. And since I'm a homeschool teacher, they did offer me that discount at the Atlanta store. It was a 10% discount. I saw at the Orlando store that they're offering a 20% discount. So it just, I guess, matters on what store you visit. They do have a number of stores around the country. They have Orlando, Atlanta, Los Angeles, Oakland, San Francisco, and Chicago. So if you're near any one of those places, it is worth a visit to this store. They also have a loyalty program. Now, the loyalty program I thought was a really great deal. For every $1 that you spend there, they give you 10 cents back in store credit. So I only spent $19, but I received back $1.90 to use next time that I go. So if you are near one of those stores and want to sign up for their loyalty program, it's definitely worth it. I have the teacher discount and then I also have that loyalty program. So it really knocks down the price of a lot of their stuff. Their stuff was also, I thought, pretty well priced. So that's my assessment of this store. Go check one out if you're near one yourself.